Welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer, where today we are looking at a 1951 only Hudson 325 AC that I procured off of eBay. I've been looking for one of these for a while to add to my growing collection of the different styles of Hudsons, and this one arrived with some damage, so that and more today. Here is the 1951 325 AC engine that I picked up, and I want to go through it and do a little bit of cleaning and go through the motor and that kind of stuff. Couple things of note. This one, I'm actually really fortunate that it arrived in the shape it did, because it was not protected in shipping at all. It just had some crinkled paper around it, and when I opened the box and saw that, I was like, oh no. The only damage is a drawbar got all sorts of twisted up, so that's fortunately pretty easy to fix, as well as, you know, these grab irons got bent up really good. So this engine runs pretty good, and as I mentioned earlier, somebody put a little bit of frog snot on the rear drivers, which I've been tracking with somebody who's done that, and it does work. It just doesn't last very long. So, you know, if you don't mind reapplying it, that's certainly a way to add a significant amount of tractive effort. So time will tell if I want to do that to this engine as this wears off. I actually don't mind having engines without traction tires to them. To me, it's kind of fun to see what they'll pull without, and then, you know, see wheels slip once in a while when their load's kind of at max. I think that's pretty cool. It's what happened in real life, you know. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get into this thing, and I'll bring it back if there's anything worth noting. All right, you Flyer fans out there, and people that are interested in servicing your own engines, here's a couple things to keep in mind. When you are taking loose your valve gear or side gear, piston rods, all that stuff, if you see this going on, know that you want to get all of that stuff off. Now, this is I don't know what it is, but I've gotten that much pulled off here. This is not your friend. So yeah, that you don't want. You don't want that kind of thing binding up your side gear on your engine. Now, this is typically indicative of an engine that's run on the floor in the carpet, or not in the carpet, but on top of the carpet. So let's make sure to clean that and get rid of that, because that will not let our side gear move freely. It will cause binding. Another thing that I noticed as I was taking this apart is this clip for the brush holder is just, well, it's just loose. Again, this is just asking for trouble. The solder job was, well, it was a good attempt. It just didn't hold, or I don't know what caused it to be this way. This one's fine, but again, you don't want this. You want your solder to hold things fast, because this is going to cause a intermittent operation and cause problems. Okay, the next thing, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, and this is something that is worth checking when you're doing engine repairs, and oftentimes it's not an issue. But here's what I'm referring to. So you want to take your brush, clean it a little bit. You know, this is a paper towel here that I'm rubbing it on, so I'm just gonna rub it on there, make sure there's no, you know, extra debris on there. And I'm gonna put it in the barrel here, and I'm gonna drop it and see what happens. Okay, it slid all the way through. Good. Now let's take the other one, do the same thing, and let's drop it. Okay, now what you didn't see, because I did this before I turned the camera on, is I tried that and they both stopped. They didn't go through. Now, why is this a problem? Well, because you've got a spring back here, and then it's pushing on the brush like this up against your commutator surface, and every time it changes, your motor changes direction, or maybe you have a little climbing you do, you're going to get all kinds of different oscillations that happen with that commutator surface, and you want your brushes to stay firmly against the commutator surface so that you get constant power. The springs will do their job. They'll keep that tension on there pushing forward. But if your brushes kind of get held up because there's just accumulation of debris inside these barrels, your brushes can actually quit moving, and now your engine again is going to cut out on you because all of a sudden there's a gap, or it may keep running and start sputtering, carrying on, and get extra hot because you've got arcing going on, and it's just not the way you want to live. So what do you do about that? Well, what I do is I take a Q-tip, and you can see this one is what I drag through this, each one side for each barrel. I push it in as far as I can go, and then I take something like pliers like this, and I cram it in there. I just keep pushing, shove it all the way through, because Q-tips are just a little bit too big, which is really handy because they compress and then they kind of scour the insides of the brush holder, and you get a lot of that debris cleaned. Hence, you saw what just happened there. So again, this is not something you're going to run into on every engine. It seems like engines maybe that are kind of more on the dirty side, which I'm finding this one is kind of one of those. That's something you want to keep in mind. So if you take your brushes out and they have, I don't know how well this comes through, you can kind of see there's a little bit of buildup on the side of this brush. That's usually a telltale sign, hey, inspect these cans, the inside of these cans, because you may find that there's some buildup in there. If you pull your brushes out and there's nothing on them, still do the test, but chances are, 99% they're just going to fall right through. It just seems to be when you've got this kind of debris on the edges, then you've got issues. I'm back here as I continue to review this 325, and I'm going through things. I thought, I ought to put one of my shut-off switches for the speaker in the tender so that thing doesn't crackle on me. And lo and behold, didn't notice the back of the tender. Wish I would have paid more attention. The seller from eBay that I bought this from, I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but they didn't package it very well at all. They just had some crinkled paper in a box with this engine. I mean, it was just terrible. And so what I noticed right away was the drawbar is just got all twisted. But that was all I saw. Shame on me, because I should have looked and saw that the top handle for the ladder was broken off. I did find the broken pieces in the box along with the ladder for the tender that had been, in the pictures, had been attached. And sure enough, found that in the box too. So, this is the kind of stuff that is just so infuriating to me. I'm just so frustrated. It's stupid. So what do I do about it besides fuss? Well, I'm going to try to repair this thing. So I took a very, very small, I think it's a 2mm drill bit, or maybe 1.5, 1.5. What is it? 1.5 millimeters, sorry. And I have drilled first 2 holes in the steps with 2 matching holes in the back of this. I'm making a steel bracket, and then I'm putting 1 hole in the base of this. And this bracket is going to go here on the back of the tender, where there's this little edge, and I drilled a hole all the way through. And I'm going to take some of this metal here, and I'm going to make a pin with a 90-degree bend at the top and a 90-degree bend at the bottom, and basically, put that through there like that. And then I'm going to JB weld that and this as well, and I'm going to stick 2 short pins. Probably won't, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'll bend 90s on either end of those or not. I know what I'll do. I'll try to flatten one end out, and I'll beat on it with a hammer maybe, or use a nail or something, so that you know, they're not really sticking out into the step very well or very far. And I'm gonna just JB weld the crap out of this thing because, sorry, JB weld this very thoroughly. Because JB weld in and of itself, while it can hold, you know, once you have just a small amount of space like this to try to seat to, and you can put some back here and all that, you can goop it all up. But, you know, a side glance or derailment where the tender maybe falls over or another train collides with it or something simple like that could just pop it right off. So by using this pinning method, I think I'm going to have a little better luck at this staying long term. But man, it just ticked me off. It's just unnecessary. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Here's a little bit of an update on this 1951 325 AC. Been doing a lot of work on it. So first of all, let's take a look at the fingers on there. I don't know if you can see that, but those have got nice big holes in them. The bottom ones, someone had repaired one. This wiring was actually still serviceable, but it looks a little suspect. Fingers were bad, so that's gone. So all new wiring. I still need to do a little bit of wire management there. Also put an on-off switch for the speaker, so I can disconnect that buzzy thing if I want to. What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, separate wire for smoke unit and headlight. It does really nicely with smoke. It was okay before, but it's of course a little better now. We've got a lot better RPMs now than before. I found well, I guess I shared this on the last video clip, but the barrels here for the brushes were gummed up enough that the brushes couldn't move. So that was an issue. The holes in the reverse fingers were an issue. The motor was pretty dirty on the commutator surface, and it was, of course, nothing was lubed, and so there's just a couple things fighting against this thing. Found kind of a big wad of something fiberish, hairish on one drive wheel. Now, the other thing that happened is I had some repairs to do from shipping damage. So here is a top ladder piece that I fabricated and put on there. The other one was busted in two. The other thing was a step. You can see the one here on the left by my hand is just a little bit bigger. I put a pin in there. I made a small metal bracket. Goes at the back. I JB welded everything. Then I cleaned it up and painted it. Actually ended up removing part of my steel bracket, which I was a little frustrated that happened, but that's part of the cleanup. So anyhow, I hope that stays. I don't know. Several of the corner railings were all messed up, bent up, chewed up from shipping, so I fixed those. The jack panel at the back here, the corner is busted out, and it was fractured again from shipping damage. So I don't have a replacement right now, so that'll have to be done at a later time. But what I do appreciate is the seller responded to me. I wasn't nasty with them, but I was, honest. And I said, this all could have been prevented if you would have done a little better job with the packaging. And I was surprised they actually were nice to me. They gave me a little bit of money back, which I appreciated because it took me several hours to fix this, as well as materials, which again shouldn't happen. But okay, get over it, Austin. And then they said that they would do a better job of shipping their flyer stuff in the future because they had a bunch of flyer stuff for sale. And I said, you're you're going to get yourself in a world of hurt with this stuff if you don't do something different with shipping. And then I said, check out my YouTube channel. I got a video on how to package things up to give it a better chance of survival in shipping. So anyhow, it ended up being a decent exchange, and I hope they take the time to check out the video. And if those of you that are seeing this have never seen that video on YouTube, please take a time to take a few moments to look at that. Go to the playlists, go to shipping, packaging, cars and engine service. I don't remember how many different playlists I put it under, but several. And you can also do a search for packaging or shipping, and it'll come up that way as well. All right, so pretty happy with the progress I've made here. You can see the reverse or the choo-choo unit's a little bit loose. See how it's bopping around there? So, oh my. Looks like I need to put some space washers in there. Armature is flopping all over the place. Okay, well, I guess I'm not done with that yet. Just when I thought I could finally get this engine project back together, this is my 51 325 AC that arrived with some damage, and then I found more things that need to be fixed. But as I was ready to put the motor and the shell back together, here one of the motor mounts is gone. I looked in the box, it's not in there. So I don't know if that was shipping damage or if that was, from some other time. But anyhow, something else I need to do. So fortunately, I have one. And I'll have to drill and tap this hole, and then have a bracket installed, so the shell and the engine stay in place where they're supposed to. And there we go. Got a nice firm bracket to hopefully hold the shell and chassis in the right alignment. All right, moving on.